That being said, here on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on facebook.com/livenowdt and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on our winning fantasy football group where you're watching this video. Mike Sofka and I are here for you to break down and analyze our most recent fantasy draft that we both did together on site, on location in the great state of Florida. Mr. Sofka, how are we doing today?
Doing wonderful. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing very well. And Mike, we finally got to do it. We got to draft in the same place at the same time. I got to say it was good to see your face, to see everybody's face. It was good to see faces in a room and be together and be able to draft together. I think more than anything else, especially this year with everything we've been through, it was just good to be around everyone and have the opportunity to draft together, not remotely, not through virtual Zoom, but to actually be there together, which I thought was probably the best part.
Yeah, that's the fun of it, if you ask me. I mean, I try to make drafts events, things you look forward to. When you're looking forward to the next fantasy season, you're like, oh yeah, good, we get the draft party. And it's a good time for people to get together. And like you said, especially after what we've been through the past year and a half or so here. So yeah, that's what it's about. Time, like technology and stuff happens and people are going to move away, and thank goodness we have the technology. If you embrace it the right way, you can have like what we had, where we had the best of both worlds. We were able to draft remotely as well as in person. And no longer do you have to have the guy on the phone and relaying stuff and no, he's taken, who else you want, and all that slows down the draft and doesn't make it fun. So yeah, it's a good thing to have, but nothing beats in person.
No, nothing beats being able to, just sit with each other, joke around with each other, and have a good time. We had some great sources to do this thing, and to be able to we had two people that had to go remotely, not because they wanted to, but because they had to due to family things and scheduling and whatnot. They had to go remote, and so I want to give a shout out to Nick and Eric and thank them for being a part of it. And of course, as we take a look at the board, I want to thank everybody that was a part of this and everyone that got to be in this with us. This is our 11th year. That was another thing that was huge, is we got to celebrate our 10-year anniversary and our 11th year anniversary at the same time. Hard to believe, 2010 to now, 11 years of being in this league. Mike and I met each other through this league, and I also met the likes of Nick, Trey, as well as Mark and Eric, Rick, Stefan, and Lisa, and then Jason and I had met through the Florida Tuskers. So to be able to bring this all together, and 11 years later to still have us all here together, was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so I want to give a shout out to everybody, and many thanks above everything else that you guys showed up for me, and that you've continued to show up for me and be there by my side, which means the world to me. So I want to thank you all for that, and it truly does mean the world to me to be able to have a situation where we get to do this, because I said when I was in Florida and I was working at ESPN 1080 The Team, I had made the comment that when I was there, that I was always going to be there for my people, and that were there in Florida with me and that supported my show. I said, even though I may not physically be here every day, I'm going to be here in some way, shape, or form. And if you got, if you'll dedicate and, stick with me, I promise you I'll stick with you. And everybody did. And so the beauty of that has been pretty awesome and pretty incredible. And I definitely feel very blessed as an individual to have the people that we have. So I just want to put out a very special thanks to each and every single one of you out there that is a part of this league. So, Mike, with that being said, we're going to break down our draft here on the show today. It's up on the board on YouTube and on Facebook. Your thoughts on round number one? We did a snake draft, so it goes 1 to 10, 10 to 1. So it starts with Nick, goes to Lisa. In round number two, it comes back around. So if you're wondering how things kind of shake out, the 11th pick is Jonathan Taylor for you looking at the list right now. So it'll go Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, then back, and then back. So the odd rounds were going 1 to 10. The even rounds were going 10 to 1. And the easiest way to know that from you watching this is left to right is 1 to 10. Right to left is 10 to 1. So, Mike, our first round was running backs except for three. Of the running backs, Saquon Barkley was taken with the first overall pick. Then Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, and Aaron Jones later on. In between Elliott and Jones, we saw 2 tight ends taken, Travis Kelce and Darren Waller, and Devontae Adams, the first wide receiver off the board. What was your analysis of our Florida draft and round number 1?
Well, Saquon going over Christian McCaffrey, that raised my antenna. Like, I had to double check things, make sure Christian McCaffrey didn't, fall down a flight of stairs or something like that. And, Kamara went where he was supposed to at 3. Derrick Henry, he could have went higher, but you got him at 4. Dalvin Cook arguably could have been a top 2 or 3 as well. Zeke, that seems to be where Zeke is going in the middle of the first round. And then we come to Ricardo's pick of Travis Kelce. Now, he stepped out there, did something a little different. And a lot of times that's the way you end up winning, is it's the difference between the players. It's not the player, it's the difference between a certain position. And you take a look at tight end, after the top handful of guys, there's a tremendous drop-off. And the drop-off's tremendous after Kelce and then again after Waller. So, I can see people's thoughts in trying to do that. I can't bring myself to do that. I don't go into a draft going, gosh, I hope I get Kelce. I go into a draft saying, let me see what the draft's on each pick. What that guy picks could determine what I pick. And, I try not to do that. I try to dictate my own terms. But sometimes you got to play what the draft gives you. So, if you follow me, I'm not a proponent of drafting a tight end in the first round under any terms or conditions. Now, at the very turn, if I'm the last pick, at the turn, I'll pick them, the first pick of the second round or something. But I just know I can find value myself elsewhere at tight end. Even though the numbers don't show that, I can still find enough value and take the running backs here. Take Devontae Adams like Team Elite did. The tight end position, that's such a scary thing to do in the first round for most people. So hats off to Ricardo for having the courage to do that. And, then we follow that by Adams, like I just said, and I'm okay with that. Near the end of the first round, that's a great pick there. And then Darren Waller, that's another questionable thing. But at this point, somebody's taking Kelce, and you're thinking, oh wow, this is somebody falling into the victim of a run, if you ask me. And it run kind of fizzled out, but at the same time, I get it. Darren Waller's a baller, and he's going to make it happen. And then finishing out the first round with, Aaron Jones, I can't argue with that at the last pick in the first round.
Yeah, and in seeing this, Aaron Jones going late here as you take a look at our draft board, for those of you on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. Those of you listening, I'll tell you kind of what's happening as we go, but we're drawing all over the screen this morning in the studios here at the Wake Up Call Studios, presented by Cafe Kubal, our proud studio partner. Aaron Jones being taken at the end of the first round. This is a good thing. This is a guy who's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of power. He's got some help with A.J. Dillon. And Patrick Taylor from Memphis is there now, mind you. I wanted to make note of him, which I did in the first hour. But, I like the Aaron Jones thing. The Saquon Barkley thing, this to me was a giant question mark. This was a why. Why first overall? Now, Christian McCaffrey, to me, I would not have taken first overall. Now, the reason why I wouldn't take Christian McCaffrey first overall is that, yes, okay, 2 years ago, he was considered to be the best of the best. And last year, before he got hurt, he was considered to be the best of the best. But now, what did I just say? He got hurt, okay? So, coming off the injury that he's coming off of, I'm very concerned. I'm concerned about Saquon. Christian McCaffrey, they tried to play him back. They tried to bring him back in. They tried to see what he could do. And sometimes that's a big-time danger zone, is to have a guy who's hurt come back, maybe not necessarily 100%, put him back out there, see what he can do. If he gets hurt even more so, now you lose him for even longer. And so I'm concerned about Christian McCaffrey, and that's why I wouldn't have gone there. I went with Derrick Henry. And I'm totally fine with this. If I wasn't going Christian McCaffrey, I was going Derrick Henry. That was my mindset. That was kind of like the little note I write in my pocket is, hey, if Derrick Henry, Mr. 2,000 yards, if he's there, take him. Okay? Because not only has he been able to do what he has done over the years, but Ryan Tannehill's gotten better. He's been there for a couple seasons. Now you got Julio Jones who's going to take some pressure off. A.J. Brown, who's already taken some pressure off. Derrick Henry, we know that he can run. We know that he's effective. We know that he's good. And I'm not too worried about Julio Jones coming in and taking away too much from Derrick Henry in the passing game as opposed to the rushing game. So I do like this. Alvin Kamara, you can't really knock that pick because, we're in a league that has standard scoring and PPR, a hybrid, and so you do excel from the hybrid status. I'm a little bit concerned of their quarterback situation, and that gives me a little bit of pause. But that's kind of the thing, is like Saquon's coming off of an injury, Christian's coming off of an injury, Kamara's got a new quarterback. That led me to Derrick Henry, and the fact that these guys are taken before me made my decision easier. Dalvin Cook, I can't balk at this pick at all. Dalvin Cook, if he stays healthy, when he stays healthy, is another guy that could be 15 to 2,000 yards, when you look at running back. And then Ezekiel Elliott, middle of the first round, you can't really go against him. My issue with Zeke is the fact that Ezekiel Elliott, again, it's about staying healthy, and that's another thing that comes to my mind here. But how can you go against Zeke? And then when you look at, I would not take a tight end in the first round, and we see two of them go. I'm with Mike on that. I'm going to take a wide receiver before I take a tight end. And so to see Travis Kelce and Darren Waller both go is kind of a head scratcher. But, both of the guys are talented guys, so you can understand that. Mike, second round as we go through, and we're going to go through bits and pieces of this. We're not going to go round by round every single thing because we'll be here for half a day. But, to look at what went on from there, we saw a run in the second round and in the third round of wide receivers. Now, the yellow is our running backs. We saw Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, go, and I can mark them all off here. Nick Chubb went, Antonio Gibson went, Austin Eckler went, and A.J. Dillon. But then it was quiet in round number 3. We only saw 2, in Najee Harris and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who dropped to the third round. What are your thoughts on how quickly the running backs went in the first 2 rounds, and then we kind of quieted down in the third round, and we saw an uptick in receivers with Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, A.J. Brown, and Terry McLaurin. How did you see rounds 2 and 3 shake out?
No, I thought they did exactly what they were supposed to. In the second round, I saw all running backs and receivers. A couple eyebrow-raising picks, like A.J. Dillon in the second round was an eyebrow-raiser for me. And, how can you go against taking Austin Eckler, Antonio Gibson, Nick Chubb, any of these guys in the second round? That seems to me to be, a no-brainer at that point. And you look at the receivers that were taken: Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. Again, those are all the top guys. So, yeah, those guys went exactly where they were supposed to. And then, the third round is when we started to see some quarterbacks go. And, I get it, but for me, that's not where I was at that point in the draft. I'm going to continue to shop for my running backs and wide receivers in the third round, even if I give up the likes of a Pat Mahomes, a Josh Allen, or a Kyler Murray. I was okay with that. And, Najee Harris, I think that's the spot for in the third round. And, I can see A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin. These are all guys that, were worthy of where they were picked.
Yeah, and like we started to see here, quarterbacks being taken off the board as well. In round number 3, we saw 3 quarterbacks go, Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen right after him, and then Kyler Murray, arguably 1, 2, and 3 in the rankers. Mike and I gave our quarterback ranking, and you can check those out in the show that we actually did from Hooters I Drive. So you can check out the quarterbacks, the running backs, the wide receivers, and the tight end rankings on YouTube as well. All of that will be is already up there for you in a full show, and we can break it down as well. But Pat Mahomes going, then Josh Allen going right after him, seems to make sense here. Then a couple picks, and Kyler Murray. Those couple picks were yours and mine. You weren't ready to go for a quarterback. You went for DK Metcalf. I wasn't ready to go for a quarterback. I went with Justin Jefferson, coming off of over 1,000 yards receiving in Minnesota after Stephon Diggs leaves, and he steps in with Adam Thielen still there. Jefferson over 1,000 yards as a rookie receiver with the Vikings. So we did not go quarterback. You and I didn't go quarterback for a while. I went quarterback before you. I went quarterback in round number 6 with Aaron Rodgers. You went in round number 9 with Matt Stafford. Thoughts on that? The fact that why did you wait 9 rounds to do it? And then I'll give my thoughts on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, well, I try to draft value if I can. You know, that's my goal. My goal is to make sure that I get the most out of each player when I draft. I'm okay with, it's like a grocery store game. It's like we're all buying sale items in the grocery store. And when I get to the register, my savings, as fake as they are from marked up products or whatever, but my savings will be greater than most people's because of the way I draft. I use a system called value basing based on projections, and then I take the median or the mean, and then I value players above that 0 point line. So long story short, I'm getting the most bang for my buck at every pick potentially. And I just saw that I could get a guy like Matt Stafford in the 9th round, and Matt Stafford, I think, is going to blow it up this year. I think that he's going to have a tremendous year. I think he's capable of finishing as a top 5 quarterback. Most people have him ranked, closer to 9 to 12, and that's okay too, because all I need him to do is put up QB1 numbers because of the value shopping I did with the running backs and the receivers already. I did have one, stumble, and we didn't know this till after the draft, but with Travis Etienne, I took him in the 7th round. And as we all know, he's done for the year with the.
Yeah, done for the year with an injury, and with a Liz Frank injury that's season-ending. I saw that he had a foot injury in the game that they played up against the New Orleans Saints just a couple days ago. And when that injury was sustained, he kind of limped off the field at the end of the game. And then we find out he's not playing, which makes James Robinson even more valuable to the people out there. And Greg said, Dan, you ended up with incredible value taking Robinson in the 7th round. So, yeah, I mean, James Robinson, and the reason why I did this, I was waiting. And I wanted to see, because normally people, everybody knows I'm a Jaguars fan, so somebody tries to, mess with, they kind of grin and they smirk and, am I going to take the guy? And that's all the way back to when I, was a huge fan of Fred Taylor and have always been a fan of Fred Taylor, my favorite Jaguar of all time, my favorite running back growing up. So, James Robinson being here basically in round number 7, and as I told you, odd rounds, it goes 1 through 10, even rounds, it goes 10 to 1. So in this round 7, Mike had the 3rd pick of this round, and I had the 4th. When he went ETN, I went Robinson because I knew as soon as one of them went, somebody's going to be thinking about the other one, and I didn't want to mess with it. So I was really trying to decide between the two, who am I going to take? And I lean a little bit more toward Robinson because he has the time in. And Travis Etienne has a relationship, but Robinson had the time in. We did this obviously before the injury to Travis Etienne, but Robinson for me is kind of, Mike helped me make the decision. Because Mike took one, I took the other. That's, honestly, Mike, you made it easy for me. Because, and I said that to you. When you said Travis Etienne, I said, Mr. Safka, well then the pick is in. And I'm ready for James Robinson. Ironically, in this 7th round, Leonard Fournette also went. So a former Jaguar with 2 current Jaguars all went in the same round. But James Robinson, for me, is the guy that I wanted. And I was enticed by ETN because he's played with Trevor Lawrence and he's coming in and this and that and he has that relationship. But James Robinson is a guy that you can't forget, and now you really can't forget. And I can't imagine he's going to drop to the 7th round anymore because of the fact of where we stand with everything. I can't imagine with the injury to ETN that he is going to fall this far. But yeah, he fell to me here. I took him, and I'm very happy that I did. I think in this round, Russ the Bus obviously going here at the beginning of it, but outside, if you take out Travis Etienne now because of the injury and you look at this whole thing, I would say of all these picks, James Robinson in the 7th round, huge value. I think you can also argue T. Higgins, you can argue Justin Herbert, Kenny Galladay with being with the Giants now, because this round, Chase Edmonds, it's kind of up in the air. Damian Harris also up in the air. Mike Davis up in the air, but I would think that James Robinson really here made a lot of sense and was really good because there's certain rounds where you're like, oh my gosh, it's like wow, 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 and in round number 7 it was a little bit more quiet. In round number 6 before though, Mike, we saw 5 tight ends go. Half of the league drafted a tight end in this round, including you. Drafted Robert Tonyan was drafted, T.J. Hawkinson, Logan Thomas, Mark Andrews, and Kyle Pitts. Your thoughts on this? This is an even round, so it went 10-1. So Pitts was the first one off the board in round number 6, and then we saw Mark Andrews go, we saw Logan Thomas go, we saw T.J. Hawkinson go, and we saw Robert Tonyan go. Your thoughts on round number 6 being the round where half the league took a tight end?
Well, I usually don't get caught up in a run, and that was a little bit of a run, but I didn't reach, so I felt comfortable there with T.J. Hawkinson. I had T.J. Hawkinson ranked as the number 4 tight end going into this draft. 4, 5, 6 as the 7th. Again, it's 3 rounds of value that I picked up there that I spent in my running backs and receivers. So again, I'm good with that. I'm okay with that. That's just an interesting anomaly. That, sometimes that's what happens. People are like, yeah, I'm going to see when I can take this guy. Oh, well, these guys are getting taken. So don't overbuy in that situation. Don't reach for a guy because everyone else is taking that position now. Do you, but if it happens to be that you're still getting value and it's in the middle of that run, so be it. Don't be afraid to pull the trigger. And, I think that tight ends, like I said, there's tremendous drop for the first couple. Then there's another tremendous drop off after the next 3 or 4. So after, not everybody's getting a true tight end one is what I'm saying. You want to make sure you get one of those top half tight ends.
Yeah, and I was surprised in myself that I didn't take a tight end until round number 9. I took Tyler Higbee in round number 9 here. And so, that was surprising to me in and of itself. But, to me, I took Higbee in round number 9 because the guys that I had looked at and that I had wanted, I was a little bit questioning Mark Andrews, but he was on my list. Mark's on my list. Pitts was on my list. And so, when you look at these things, for me, ultimately taking Higbee was because I had lost out on the other guys that I wanted. So, looking at this, and now this thing's going to draw all over the place. But, looking at some of the stuff with Kelsey being gone. I think seeing that, and we just got Greg said taking Robinson at the 64th overall pick was a bold pick. Listen, I think James Robinson is going to be. Even more so now. I think he, with him being the dominant back, and there not being a question about that because of the fact that Etienne's not there. I think Robinson has a lot of value. We saw what he did last year. And he didn't have Trevor Lawrence. We saw what he did last year, and the line wasn't healthy. We saw what he did last year, and the the defense didn't have depth, and the offense didn't have depth. So, I think James Robinson gets better this year. He had some good runs against the New Orleans Saints in their preseason game this week, and so I love seeing that. And to go back to this board and take a look before we take our first step aside here, looking at this draft board, again. Seeing where things kind of shook out and where things kind of went here, Robinson being 64th, there was 7th round for James Robinson to me is totally fine. I would have drafted him in the 5th. I would have drafted him arguably in the 6th. So I'm more than okay in that. But like Mike was talking about, don't become a victim to certain runs. But if it makes sense and you get the value, then why not? With Higbee going here and this being something that I could do again. He was not the guy that was first on my board. He was not the guy that was second or third on my board, but he was on my board. And when I saw the board kind of change a little bit, I said to myself, do I want Austin Hooper? No. Do I want Zach Ertz? No. So, to get Higbee here, I was totally fine with because Hawkinson, who I had wanted, was gone, and Tonyan, who I had looked at, was gone. And so, and then, like I said, Kelsey and Waller and Pitts and Andrews. Pitts fell to the 6th round, but it still felt like he went fast. And so that was something to look at. Now, Rick, I want to say something that was interesting that Rick did is I'm going to circle it right here. Rick went 5 straight rounds with a wide receiver, Mike. Your thoughts? He went from round 6 to 10. He went Jamar Chase, Kenny Galladay, Robbie Anderson, Will Fuller the 5th, and Devontae Smith. Your thoughts on this run? Because as you look at the color codings here, not everybody... really nobody else did a run like this to this extent. We see with Trey. Trey went 4 straight running backs: Chris Carson, David Montgomery, Myles Gaskin, and Mike Davis from rounds 4 to 7. But the run of 5 in a row, we're not seeing anywhere else on this board. What are your thoughts on Trey's run of 4 running backs, and then Rick making the biggest run that we saw here, where he went 5 straight wide receivers?
Yeah, I think if it happens, it happens. I'm not sure that they went in with the mindset going, "Oh, I'm going to take the next 6 picks or the next 5 picks. I'm going to do this." I don't think that's the case. But don't be afraid if that happens. Don't look at that and go, "Wow, do I really want to take 6 wide receivers?" If that's the best guy on the board at that point, if that's the best guy that's going to have value for you and your team, by all means, take it, regardless of position, at just about every turn in the draft. That's what you're looking for. You're looking to build that value. You want consistent players. You want guys who are going to have that number one ability, which is availability. They got to be on the field. They can't be injury prone. So, sometimes it just works out that way. But looking at his picks, Jamar Chase, I think he's going to have an excellent rookie hookup with Joe Burrow. I think Kenny Golladay, some people are questioning things with him in New York, but we'll see. Robbie Anderson, I think, is going to have an outstanding year again. It seems that every time Will Fuller touches the ball, he scores a touchdown in a game. Every game he plays, he seems to score a touchdown. And Devonta Smith at 10, I think that's safe there. So, I've talked about it before, and I've used the example of the Baltimore Ravens with the tight end situation. And, my saying is, when I go to the well, I'm not just going for a sip of water. It's not a water fountain. It's a well. So I'm going to take a sip while I'm there, but I'm bringing some back with me. So, he's not afraid to bring 5 pails with him to make sure he gets his wide receiver problems answered. So, yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you step out like that, and, it does look odd when you're looking at the colors on the board. But, hey, he went for what he thought was the best thing for him. You can't argue with somebody for that.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, things happen. We go after what we think is right at the time. I've looked back at the draft before and gone, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that, I did this." And I mean, I think mine, this one was it was spaced out, but I've done it before where, you look back on it and go, "Wow, I went, 4 receivers in a row or 3 receivers in a row." For mine, a little bit different here. Let's go team by team. And we're going to do that in a second here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're going to take a step aside here where sports meets life. We'll make one final note here, Mr. Sofka. Before we do that, before we go team by team here when we come back, I do want to make a note here. Mike and I have this rule where we do not draft defenses or kickers until the end. The first defense that came off the board was in round number 11, and it's in red here for those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook. Number 11 round. We saw that the Rams went first in that round because it goes 1 through 10 in the odd round. So Rams were not only in the 11th round, they were the first pick of the 11th round, and then the same team went in the next round with the first pick of the 13th round, went with the Steelers defense, and so they took 2 defenses, 11 to 13. Most people did what we did. They waited till the end. We saw the Buccaneers defense go earlier, but you and I went back-to-back. You took Washington. I took the Chiefs. And then I took Rodrigo Blankenship, the kicker, and you took Robbie Gould when we came back around the other way. Most of the kickers in green are at the bottom here. Pretty much everybody took them in the last round or second to last round, except for really one team took Harrison Butker, the same team that took a defense. Your thoughts on this, that most of our red and our green is at the bottom? Our defenses, Mike and I always say that the second to last and the last round are for kickers and defenses, and whatever you want to do. Defense, kicker, kicker, defense. But, obviously... Some teams go earlier. Thoughts on the fact that we saw some of these defenses go earlier on, a kicker go earlier on. Just what your take is on that, as you and I seem to streamline defenses and kickers throughout the year.
Yeah, to each his own. If I'm in a money league, I go up afterwards, and I personally thank those people for their donation to the league that I'm going to pocket at the end of the year. Look, it's simple. If I could tell you that you're going to end up with one of the top defenses if you don't pick one till the end of the draft, you would question that. You would say, how is that possible? It's possible. It happens every year to me. I'll give you an example, and this happens all the time. I had the Washington football team's defense ranked number 2 going into that draft. Yet I was able to take them at 2, 4, 5. So was it the 6th, 7th defense? And no, 9th defense taken because I took them in the 17th round. I don't understand how I could get more value than that. I would have had to pick a defense in the 13th round if I was in a panic buy because I saw the Steelers go off the board and I saw the Bucs go off the board. You know, it's just more times than not in a 10 or 12 team league, I'm going to end up with not only a top defense on my rankings, but usually in the top half. Usually I'm top 6 if I'm in a 12-team league. And there's a fine example. I had Washington as the number 2 defense. Oh, Mike, well, your projections are wrong. That's what, yeah, my projections are wrong. Come again? Yeah. I'll tell you what. If I'll put my projections up against anybody's projections in the industry, you know, and I'm not trying to be braggadocious here. I'm just saying this is a system I've used. It's tried and true. Won over 150 championships doing this system here, and that's why I just won't take a defense before the second to the last pick, and I'll always take a kicker with the last pick. Well, Mike, you say not to predetermine your draft going in. Don't say I'm definitely going to do this or I'm definitely going to. Right? You know, there's a couple rules that you have to follow. You know, when you go out driving, you do have to stay within the lines of the road. Nobody can tell you where to go or how to get to where you're going, but you do have to stay and follow certain traffic laws. That's just a traffic law of the draft right there. Take your defense and kicker last.
Yeah, you know, and to me, it's a common sense thing. And so, what does it say? To say that your league mate picking at number 1 as a wild card would be an understatement. And so, okay, so him looking back at the draft and seeing some of the stuff. Oh, who picked first for us? So yeah, so I mean, I think, you know, yeah, I mean, like you said, to each their own. But, you know, when you're taking a defense or your second defense, and I mean, you think about it like this. When you're taking your defense, I'm getting Russell Gage, who is value to me as my second to last wide receiver, my 5th wide receiver that I took off the board. When you're taking another defense, I'm taking Rashad Penny, who is there for me in Seattle, you know, and Chris Carson struggles to stay healthy. I think Rashad Penny is going to get something. And so this could be his last leg in Seattle, but he still has an opportunity. You know, within these rounds to take something like that, I took Mike Gesicki in the 12th round. You know, I took Trevor Lawrence in the 14th round. So there's a lot of people that I'm taking before I get to my defense and kicker. Chuba Hubbard to back up Christian McCaffrey, Darnell Mooney, because Anthony Miller's not in Chicago anymore, so now Mooney is right behind Allen Robinson, and he did some good things out of Tulane. So, you know, I'm totally okay with doing that. DJ Chark, making these moves at that point. You know, Mike and I, we will let you do that all day long. If you wanted to look at each team here, and we're going to give a draft grade and a thought right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. You are watching and listening to us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We thank you for being here on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on wakeupcalldt.com, and of course on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and on facebook.com/live-now-DT. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal studios for the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. Plenty more coming up right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvelange, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to call DT hanging out inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. It is all about fantasy football inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Very, very excited and very happy to do this with you. What did Greg say? Do you have a timeline for selecting draft time, draft positions for the Sunday's draft? So Greg, I'll actually shoot. Greg is in our league up here in Central and Upstate New York. So Greg, you will get a message from me momentarily. We'll make sure that we get that out to you. I was actually sending everything and getting everything together to make sure everybody has their times and their spots all set and ready to go. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited with this, and actually perfect segue from Greg. We will be drafting here, so I'm very, very much looking forward to it at the Wildcat Sports Pub. We will be there all day Sunday, August 29th. They open at 11 o'clock. I'm sure I'll be there before that, and I'll be setting up. There's a giant, massive screen that I can put everything on, including Mike and I having our videos up there of our rankings and our information and everything up there. So I'm really, really much, very much looking forward to that and looking forward to having all of you out there at the Wildcat Sports Pub Sunday, August 29th. This Sunday, I'll be there all day doing our live drafts for Central and Upstate New York. And as we're inside the Fantasy Football Power Hour, I'm going to pull up the teams once again here of our draft. We have Nick's team, Trey. We have Mike's, which is the ORL for Orlando Fat Gators. We have my team, Mark, Eric, Rick, Team Elite, which is Stefan, Jason, and Lisa's teams here. So, Mike, we're going to essentially give a grade for each one, and we'll go picks 1 through 10. So Nick had the first overall pick, and his team went from 1 through 18 as follows: Saquon Barkley, A.J. Dillon, Pat Mahomes, which is the team quarterback for us. With my leagues, you get a team quarterback, which means if he goes down or if they sit him or whatever it may be, you still have value in the backup quarterback. If they come in and throw 2 touchdowns, those aren't 0 for you. Those actually all go together. So if Pat Mahomes sits out and somebody comes in and throws 2 touchdowns, you get those touchdowns. Robert Woods in round number 4 for Nick. Julio Jones, who's now with Tennessee. Robert Tonyan. Russell Wilson is backup quarterback. Raheem Mostert. Tyler Boyd. Zach Ertz. Rams D. Michael Thomas of New Orleans, who used to be in the first round or second round and now fell all the way to round number 12 on the back end of it, so the end of round 12. Steelers defense. Harrison Butker, the kicker. Trotman. Xavier Jones, backup running back with the Rams. Jason Myers, a former Jaguars kicker, now at Seattle. And Justin Fields. So he was the only team to take 3 quarterbacks, 2 defenses, and 2 kickers. Mike, your overall draft grade for our number 1 overall pick, Nick.
Yeah, I kind of question the start to the draft with Saquon and A.J. Dillon, but, nicely corrected, picking Mahomes, Robert Woods, Julio Jones, Robert Tonyan. These are all boomer bust type players here, especially Julio Jones, especially Tonyan. I like to say it with Russell Wilson. Mozart could situation. Tyler Boyd could get phased out. Zach Ertz could get phased out. The defenses were too early for my cup of tea. But if Michael Thomas has any kind of year like he has had in years past, not last year, but in years past, that's a great pick there. So, too early on some things for me, and I'd have to give it a C. I'm looking. His team name is Buckhammers. Is that right?
Yes, I believe so. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's the Gigaxians is his team name.
All right, I'm going to give him a C. The system here, FanDraft, on their rankings gave him a B. They'd rank everybody 1 through 10, and he's number 10 on the ranking with a B. Everyone drafted real well. What they do is they look at how many players in their top 25 ranking you have, how many players in the top 26 through 50, how many through 51 through 100, and then how many players you have drafted that are over the 100 projection. And then they tally those up, and the idea is to get the most players toward the top of the draft, obviously. And unfortunately for Nicholas, he's finished at 10, but he still gets a B grade from FanDraft, so this should be a pretty balanced league from what I see from the draft.
Yeah, I'm going to give Nick a C in this one as well, and I want to let people know. I mean, we're doing these as if it was anybody. This could be anybody in the nation. We're just giving our grades. This isn't a knock. It's not, if we give you an A, we give you a D, whatever it may be. These are just our overall draft analysis grades. I question the Saquon pick early and the A.J. Dillon pick as well. I'm not against the Pat Mahomes one where it was. Robert Woods was too high for my liking. Julio Jones, boomer bust, like you said. Robert Tonyan, there were other places to go at this time. Not a ton of places to go. I understand why he did it, so I can't really be against it because there were 5 tight ends taken and 4 in that round beforehand, and then 2 in the first round. So I can't really be against that. It's not like he drafted Tonyan with Hawkinson and Andrews and Pitts and Waller and Kelsey still there. Taking a backup quarterback that early, I would have waited. Raheem Mostert, I don't like it because he gets injured a lot. Boyd, like you said, he can get phased out. He's not the number 2 guy. He was supposed to be the number 2 guy. Now they have T. Higgins, who's been the 1, and you got Jamar Chase, who knows Joe Burrow very well from playing at LSU with him. So, that looks like you're 1 and 2, 2 and 1, however you're going to look at those guys. Maybe they're going to, one of them, Higgins is going to be 1 week, and Chase the other is what I think. Zach Ertz is getting phased out. 2 defenses. I understand. I used to have the rule, take 2 defenses, 2 kickers. I got rid of that rule. Maybe Nick still thought that was, and maybe that was a my mistake thing. And then Justin Fields, I don't mind it. 3 quarterbacks, I do mind, but taking him in the 18th round, the last pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, is good there. Trotman, Xavier Jones. I mean, a lot of boomer bust here, so I'm going to give Nick a C. Trey, 2nd pick overall, he takes Christian McCaffrey. Then he goes with Calvin Ridley in the back end of the 2nd round. He takes Josh Allen right after Pat Mahomes goes, which I would anticipate with a lot of drafts. Then he goes 4 running backs, Chris Carson, David Montgomery, Myles Gaskin, and Mike Davis. Mike Davis in Atlanta now after backing up Christian McCaffrey in Carolina. Then he has a run of, so he goes 4 running backs, then 4 receivers right after Brandon Ayuk in the 8th round, young guy out of San Fran. Deontay Johnson out of Pittsburgh, a young wide receiver there for the Steelers. Curtis Samuel, who's now with Washington through Carolina. Corey Davis, who's now with the Jets through Tennessee, and a former Western Michigan Bronco. Then he goes with Evan Engram. His first tight end comes in round number 12. Then he goes with Jalen Hurts as his backup quarterback, Gus Edwards, and Rondale Moore. And Rondale Moore, a rookie wide receiver out of Arizona, who I was going to go with 2 picks later if he did not go with him. I was in 4th pick of the 15th round. He was the 2nd. Then he went Ravens D, Hunter Henry, and Mason Crosby at the end. Your thoughts on Trey?
Well, first off, to start the draft, he ended up with a gift with Christian McCaffrey falling in his lap at 2, because nowhere have I seen Christian McCaffrey lower than 1. Calvin Ridley is a great pick there. I like Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen's going to be a top 3 quarterback this year. The running backs at this point is where things started to get a little sketchy for me. But then again, I'm looking at where they were picked, and it's 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. It's about the 16th, 17th running back to be taken. And that's when he went on a run. He was like, well, I'm going to stock up on running backs here. I don't know if he predetermined that, but, the guys that he got here, Chris Carson might be in a committee situation, does get dinged up. Hopefully he stays healthy. David Montgomery is going to be in a share situation. We don't know about the quarterback situation there, so that could be good or bad either way. Myles Gaskin, is he going to do what I think he can do? Well, then that's going to be a good pick in the 6th round. Mike Davis, same thing. Is he going to pick up where he left off in Carolina? If so, great. Ayuk, Jones, Samuel, Corey Davis, these are all guys that I kind of question, but, they are capable of putting up a good year here. And then, looking at the balance, the end of the draft here for him, I think he did what he could do and what he wanted to do. I think Gus Edwards is a good value there at 14. A couple homer picks for him. He is a big Ravens fan, so that's a Gus Edwards pick. And the Ravens, he took them in the 16th as opposed to the 17th round. But, that was only 3-pick difference. He's at the end of the 16th round there. So I get where he's going with this, and I think he did okay. I think I'm going to give him a B. I'm looking at the rankings here from FanDraft, the tool that we use to draft here in this draft, and they've got him ranked as the 4th best draft grade at an A-.
B as well. I for a lot of, Brandon Ayuk, I go back and forth with him. He could be a weapon for Trey Lance. So when, if and when Trey Lance takes over, because we would anticipate that that's going to be happening at some point, maybe sooner than later. Outside of that, I think Gus Edwards, for him to drop as far as he dropped, I think it's good value for Trey. Gus used to have more value, but now with J.K. Dobbins being there, and I really think ultimately not just J.K. Dobbins being there, but the fact that Lamar Jackson likes to run. And so that, when you got your quarterback getting over 1,000 yards in a season rushing, that takes away your 1,000-yard back, arguably, in most cases. So, I think Gus falling, it's not a bad pick. Rondale Moore, I loved it. I think he went really late. I think he is going to go really late. I think people are going to forget about him. And, Hunter Henry, to get him in the 17th round, I'm totally okay with that. He's in New England now, and I think eventually Mac Jones will take over. I said week 7 he'll take over. Myles Gaskin, I like it. It's okay with it being it was his 4th running back that he took, so that's good value there. David Montgomery fell to him. That was good. Chris Carson, if he stays healthy, I think Carson could have went higher than the 4th round, but, like Trey said during the draft, if they fall to me, I'm just going to keep taking them. Because, it was like, oh, you're making a run on all these running backs. It's like, well, they're all here. So, I understand that. And then, Deontay Johnson in round number 9, a little bit of a flyer, but not as much of a flyer as Samuel and Davis. So, I think Samuel and Davis have talent. They're on new teams, so that'll be a little bit of, that's rolling the dice more than Deontay Johnson, I think, at this point. Evan Engram, I like him more than other people do, so I'm okay with that, especially in round number 12. So I'm gonna give Trey a B. I almost, I almost gave him a B minus, but I think there's more upside, so I'm gonna give him a B. And I can't put Trey that close to the C that I gave Nick because he'll be very mad. So I'm gonna give Trey a B. And I do. I think Trey drafted pretty well here. He took what was out there kind of given to him. There's a lot of receivers that I wouldn't have taken, so that's why I'm going to give him a B. Mike, we're not gonna grade ourselves. So in this case, I'll grade you, you'll grade me. So we'll look at Mike. So Mike took Alvin Kamara and Austin Eckler. Then he took DK Metcalf, CeeDee Lamb, who fell to round number 4, which I thought was really good because the wide receivers really didn't go. You see them in brown on the list. They didn't go that fast, and that was very good for many of us who are paying attention to this and kind of were trying to time it as best we could. Amari Cooper going to you in round number 5, I thought was great. TJ Hawkinson in 6, I thought was a good pick. Travis Etienne, obviously, before he got injured, that was a smart pick as well. In round number 7, I was going, as I said before, Etienne or Robinson. You took one, I took the other. You got Javonte Williams and took him from me in round number 8. Well, actually, it was coming back in round number 8, so we went to 1 to 10, 10 to 1. I took Kareem Hunt, and you went Javonte. I was going to try and get him on on the back way, and that was kind of my step where I thought, okay, I could have been better there. You got Matt Stafford in round number 9 as your quarterback. I do think he has high upside. I would have liked to see you get a quarterback that I have more faith in at that point, but he does have high upside. Cortland Sutton, another guy with high upside, if they could figure out their quarterback situation. Hans McGee over there, Mr. Cortland Sutton, I covered at SMU. Love him. Love that you got him in round number 10. Again, another guy I wanted. Michael Carter, I was drafting him the next pick when Mike picked him in the 11th round, 3rd overall. Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones Jr. I question taking 2 Jaguars back-to-back, but I don't question the fact that Marvin's talented and Laviska is young and talented as well. Kirk Cousins, I like that. Gainwell, I really like that pick. I liked the Granson. The Granson pick is something that I'm going to have to watch. This is one of Mike's. Every year Mike has like a sleeper or two that he really leans on that you don't know, and Granson could be that guy this year. We'll see. The Washington football team as your defense and Robbie Gould as your kicker. I think ultimately, Mike, since you read most of my draft sheet, I'm going to give you an A. And but no, I think you made some tremendous picks. Michael Carter and Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, 3 rookie running backs. But I liked all of these picks. I like that you had some respect for the Jacksonville offense, which I think could be potentially very multifaceted here. Cortland Sutton, I like that pick as well. And how can I balk at Alvin Kamara and then getting Eckler later on? You got DK Metcalf right before I was going to take him. A lot of these picks were picks right before mine. And so if I'm trusting in my rankings and I'm trusting in my research and I'm trusting in my gut, and I'm looking at your picks going, most of these are where I would have went, then, obviously I'm going to go with an A for you, Mike. Not an A minus, an A, close to an A plus. It's hard for me to give an A plus because really you don't know where the season's going to go. I wouldn't give myself one either. But, I'm going to give you an A in this sense because a lot of what I really believe is going to work this year is on your team, and a lot of the guys that I really thought to draft and I thought were reputable and I thought were good. And, there was so many times in this draft where you picked somebody right before I was about to take them and when they were on my mind, or both. So I'm going to give you an A because you definitely have a team that I respected even before the draft started. So I'm going to say that definitely an A. If I had your team, I'd be feeling good about this season. So I'm going to give you an A. So now you can give me mine because we're not gonna rank ourselves. So what do you have for me?
All right. Well, just for the record, the fan draft tool ranked me at an A as well with a 3rd. I took a 3rd place on the ranking here. I'm following 2 people. We haven't gotten to them yet, and I'll tell you who those people are here in a minute. I think he did great with Derrick Henry, first calf out of the chute, and then DeAndre Hopkins, you arguably got the top running back and arguably the top wide receiver in football right there. Justin Jefferson should have a monster year. DeAndre Swift, as of late, he's been dinged up a little bit in camp, so that's kind of worrisome there. But, at that point, we don't know that, in the draft. DJ Moore, I still continue to like him and as a career receiver. He was tops of the adjusted explosiveness index a couple years ago when he came out. Aaron Rodgers, all he does is usually lead the league in touchdown passes, so that's good. You went with your gut and had a situation where somebody else made the decision for you. And going just before Robinson, can't argue with Robinson in the 7th. Kareem Hunt, that's another great pick there in the 8th. And then you come back with DJ Chark and, Russell Gage should have an uptick this year. I think he's a name not many people know, but they're going to get to know this year. Trevor Lawrence, I think it's an outstanding pick at 14. And you picked your defense and your kickers last, so you automatically get brownie points for that. But overall, I think you did well in the draft, and I have no problem giving you an A. I think it was a good draft for you. And by the way, for the record, Fan Draft agrees as well. They got you just above me at number 2.
Oh, word! So that's awesome. Top 3 for you and I, according to the Fan Draft, which doesn't know us from Adam. So that's a little feel good thing that we're able to say that, which is pretty cool. So shout out to that, and thank you to Fan Draft for putting Mike and I up there. We appreciate that very much. So that's very kind of them and very cool. So and I appreciate that, Mike. I felt good about this one, but the reason why I feel good is you and I do so much research, and I got to credit you for we just every single week just push each other, and it's something that we do all year round. In the middle of March, we're talking about fantasy football. In June, we're talking about fantasy football. So, I want to thank you for everything you do and for pushing me. And I think I'm a better drafter now because of this, because of the time that we put in. We're trying to help other people, and we're trying to obviously wrap our heads around it and really get a feel for it. So I think there's so much value to the Fantasy Football Power Hour, brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub. And without it, I wouldn't have drafted this way because I wouldn't have done as much research. So I thank you for that. Fifth pick was Mark, and Mark has won. He's been a multi-time champion. And before we take our final step aside, as we give our grades throughout the draft here, recapping here, we both gave Nick a C, we gave Trey a B, and then I gave Mike an A, he gave me an A, and then now we go to Mark. Delvin Cook he takes in round number 1, then he takes Tyreek Hill, the speedster, got 2 massive weapons in the first 2 rounds, then he gets Kyler Murray, another weapon in the third quarterback off the board, then he takes J.K. Dobbins, he's a Tampa fan with his son Stephen, who we'll talk about in a little bit here. He takes Chris Godwin, Logan, and mind you, Mike Evans had gone before him here in the first part of the 4th round. So in the 5th round, getting Chris Godwin, people kind of forgot about him. In last year's draft, whoever took Evans then went Godwin or vice versa. This year, I feel like there's going to be more time in between because people aren't as sold for whatever reason. They're coming off of winning a Super Bowl together, and they have Tom Brady as their quarterback, but still there's like space between. So Chris Godwin goes in the 5th round to the 5th pick to Mark. He takes Logan Thomas, Damian Harris. After that, Jarvis Landry. We see him take Trey Sermon in round number 9, the running back rookie for San Fran. Michael Gallup after that, and Zach Moss. Zach Moss and Devin Singletary fell drastically in our draft, and so we see Zach Moss here go in round number 11, 5th pick overall. In round number 11, Singletary went in round number 9, second to last pick of that round. And then with Mark, he takes Henry Ruggs, who's the number 1 with the Raiders. But the Raiders have lost a lot of respect with some fantasy rankings lately with people. And so Ruggs goes in round number 12, which I thought was good value. He takes the Bucs defense, and he goes with Eric Ebron, his backup tight end. And from there, he goes with Derek Carr from the Raiders with that 1-2 punch with him and Ruggs. Alan Lazard in round number 16 I love because he's the second option. Well, maybe the third now with Randall Cobb coming back to Green Bay, but Aaron Rodgers likes Alan Lazard, and that's all that matters because that's your quarterback. Darius Slayton with the Giants, round number 17, the young wide receiver out of there, and then Mr. Gay, the Rams kicker. So thoughts on this, Mike, for Mr. Mark, who has been no stranger to winning championships in our league.
Yeah, well, this is a pretty good draft for him. I'm looking up and down. I love Dalvin Cook right away, and come back into second with Tyreek Hill. That's right on time. I can't argue with taking Kyler Murray in the third. He's right up there with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. J.K. Dobbins is a good pick to come back with, and then Chris Godwin again. Logan Thomas, he was the number 3 tight end last year in PPR. Damian Harris, that pick's starting to look a lot better here with Sony Michel being jettisoned out of New England, sent over to the Rams for a couple late-round picks last night. And then I'm looking at Jarvis Landry. That could be a boomer bust thing. Trey Sermon, that could be a boomer bust thing. And, the Damian Harris thing, he's got Ramondre Stevenson looking really good in preseason, the rookie there. So that's part of the reason why they were able to let Sony Michel go. Sony Michel had a lot of injuries, could never stay on the field, didn't look as explosive as he did in college all the time. And it just seemed there was too many cooks in the kitchen. There was too many guys in that running back room there, but they've got that balanced out a little bit. It looks like it's going to be Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson. Michael Gallup could be a boomer bust situation. Zach Moss, again, I think, again, boomer bust. Henry Ruggs, I think, is going to be due for a much better year. Last year was a COVID year. This is still a young receiver, still trying to develop, still trying to find his footing. Raiders have a history of drafting guys who are really fast, but are they really good wide receivers? Not necessarily all the time. You look at Tampa at 13, I get it. Bucs had a great defense, a great defensive line as well. Eric Ebron could be boomer bust. Carr could be boomer bust. Lazard boomer bust. Slayton boomer bust. And he did go last with the kicker there. So, looking up and down this team, I see a real solid effort here. The fan draft ranked him at 7, giving him a B plus. And I'll go with the same grade. I think a B plus is worthy here. I think he's going to win some games.
Yeah, for Mark, I'm going to go with him in this, as we go down the line here and kind of look at it. And I gave my analysis as we were going through. But, I think for me, I'm going to give him an A minus. And I'm giving him an A minus because, you can argue the B plus, and I completely understand it. But I'm giving him an A minus because, listen, not only does this man, draft some good caliber players, but he's usually playing in our championship game. And because he's usually playing in our championship game, or he's pretty darn close to the championship game, I got to give him a nod here and give respect where respect is earned. And I'm going to give him an A minus, saying, okay, some of these picks, would I have picked him? Not necessarily. Would I have gone as high on the defense? No. And consistency is key. And being, a man who has a lot of hardware in our league, I'm going to give him an A minus in that. With that being said, Mike and I are going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we will give our grades for the rest of the league. Picks 6 through 10. What are our thoughts on the rest of our fantasy football draft that just drafted down in the great state of Florida? We have, as a recap, given grades out. We gave Nick a C. We gave Trey a B cumulatively. And then I gave Mike an A. He did not grade himself. I did not grade myself, and he gave me an A. And I gave Mark an A minus. He gave Mark a B plus. We'll see what we think about Eric, Rick, Stefan, Jason, and Lisa right after this. We're Sports Meets Life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, is our home for our Liverpool Warriors monthly exclusive sit-down broadcast with the players as well as the coaches and the staff at Liverpool High School, which is right down the road from Avicoli's. You can walk there, Avicoli's being your neighbor in Liverpool, New York for over 2 decades. You can get to them Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. They have their casual pizza side, their fine dining side, as well as their bar and their outdoor dining. And, of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100 to give them a call today. And, of course, you can go to myavicolis.com. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding available for you in East Syracuse for long and short-term care for your furry-loving friends. For the daycare, you can call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 for the Canine Camp Dog Daycare to drop off your dog for the day, get your dog groomed, as well as pick up some food, toothpaste, a harness, a new leash, whatever you need, a new collar. They have so many things inside of their store at the Canine Camp Dog Daycare on 228 Old Bridge Street, as well as the dog grooming and the daycare. To schedule an appointment, call 315-437-7110. And, of course, Canine Campground Dog Boarding on 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, right around the corner from the daycare. For longer-term care for your furry-loving friend at the campground, every single dog gets their own cabin. And some dogs get a cabin with a TV for those dogs that like to watch the TV, which I have had dogs that love to do that. And sometimes I feel like Lily's watching the TV, but normally she just likes getting her belly rubbed. Canine Campground Dog Boarding. You can find them at 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse once again, and you can call them to set up an appointment at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013 to get all information you need on what you have to have for your dog as you get set to bring them over to the campground. PB&J's Lunchbox is the awesome and incredible and eclectic food truck that you follow all over central and upstate New York. Well, now you can find them at their Street Side Cafe. So when you're jonesing for their food Monday through Saturday, you can go right over to the cafe for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. PB&J's Lunchbox, 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Make sure you head out there today. Try their grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich with the roasted pecans that make it truly just amazing. I get it with strawberry jelly. You can get it with strawberry or grape. You can also go over there and get their Philly cheesesteak wrap, as well as their barbecue chicken quesadilla, which is one of my new favorites. PB&J's Lunchbox, you should be hungry. It's close to lunchtime, so you should already be in the car listening to Wake Up Call, heading over there right now, 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. And Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, located on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, minutes from Skaneateles Lake. Make your way over to Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics today. They are so incredibly great at caring about their patients. When you go to a place where you need to have care, normally you don't find someone who will listen to you, walk you through it, talk with you about it, and give you your options. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is led by a fantastic team leader in Dr. Mark Petropoli, and that's why they're different. So with everybody there at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, I want to thank them for caring, for listening, and for telling us as patients what is going on in the process and customizing each process to us on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York. Whatever your injury is from head to toe, call them today at 315-685-7544. That's 315-685-7544. With that being stated, Mike and I are back here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you and giving our thoughts. Florida, we have given grades already to Nick. We both gave Nick a C. We gave Trey a B. I gave Mike an A. He gave me an A. And then I gave Mark an A minus. He gave Mark a B plus. We now go to Eric, who is the 6th overall pick in our draft. He drafted Ezekiel Elliott first and then went with Antonio Gibson from Memphis. As those of you that listen to hour number 1 in my coverage of American Athletic Conference, I talked about the Memphis Tigers sending numerous players to the NFL that are active in the NFL right now, especially running backs, which they have 5 currently in the NFL, including Antonio Gibson with Washington. Then he went with Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson in round number 4, Cooper Kupp, as well as Lamar Jackson, his first quarterback. Normally Lamar would be taken a lot earlier last year, I'd imagine. 6th round this year, in the middle of the 6th round, 5th pick of the 6th round. And then we see Chase Edmonds go, as well as Ronald Jones, who splits time with Leonard Fournette with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fournette went at the bottom end of round number 7, so Eric picked up Ronald Jones in the middle of round number 8, and then he got Austin Hooper, Jerry Jeudy in round number 10, which I think is great value. Deebo Samuel after that, Dallas Goedert, his backup tight end in round number 12, good value there. I almost took him. I ended up going Mike Gesicki because he took Dallas Goedert 2 picks before me. Emmanuel Sanders, who's now with Buffalo, backup quarterback Matt Ryan in round number 14. Tony Pollard, another Memphis Tiger, who's with the Dallas Cowboys. And then Colts defense, Devontae Parker of Miami. He used to be taken a lot earlier, but Devontae's on his last leg out of Louisville and probably has lost his number 1 role at wide receiver, if not number 2 as well. But Devontae Parker taken around number 17. And Young Ho Koo, my favorite kicker name in the NFL, going to him in the last round for the Atlanta Falcons. Mike, your grade for Eric.
Yeah, I think I like this team. Now, his team name's Stealing Like a Million, is that right?
Mike, yeah, he might have changed his team name, so I can look that up for you. But Eric's team name was under a different moniker. But as I look up that, go ahead and give the grade, and I'll give you the official name.
Yeah, I'm looking at Ezekiel Elliott. I like him. I like Antonio Gibson in the 2nd round. It's great. Keenan Allen, Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Lamar Jackson. I mean, what's not to like so far through 6 rounds? Chase Edmonds could be a boom or bust player, but I like the odds there. Not so much with the Ronald Jones, but, I think the Bucks are a committee team. I don't think one guy. I don't think we're going to see a playoff Lenny anytime soon here. So I think everybody's going to share the load there. Austin Hooper could be boom or bust. I don't think Njoku's a threat to him. Looking at Jerry Jeudy and Deebo Samuel, I think those guys could have productive years. Dallas Goedert again. Emmanuel Sanders, again, even for being 154 years old, playing in the cold in Buffalo, I think he's still going to put up some numbers. Matt Ryan, I think, could have a great year. Tony Pollard, I like that at this point in the draft year, especially because you already own Zeke. You took Zeke first, so that's a smart handcuff there. Took the defensive round earlier, but I'm not going to fault them for that. I think the Colts are a good pick there, Devontae Parker. And, when you're looking for that kicker, Young-Ho Koo, don't search by his first name only. Put his whole name in the Google box, because if you just put his first name, you're not going to get what you're looking for. You're going to get something else. Looking up and down, though, at his team, I can't complain. And his team, he won a million, is that right?
It was. It's Wicked Lester. So.
Oh, his team is Wicked Lester.
Yes.
Okay. Well, FanDraft has him at a B+. I'm going to give him an A. I like the team up and down.
Yeah, I think looking at this team too, for me, I like Eric's team. I like Zeke and Gibson. Keenan Allen's a guy that I don't typically have on my team, but third round, not a bad pick. Allen Robinson, I like him more. I liked him a lot. And then he left Jacksonville, and I didn't know if I really liked him leaving there because they went, they hadn't made a playoffs in a decade, and he was their number one receiver. And with him getting injured at the start of their season, they not only made the playoffs for the first time in a decade, but they almost went to the Super Bowl. So I was sitting here going, okay, well, is his value down a little bit now? But then you look at his numbers last year, and you're like, geez. So Allen Robinson, more respect for me now. Cooper Kupp, I like that in 5th round. Lamar Jackson in the 6th round. I like the value that he's been getting in this draft. Jerry Jeudy falls to the 10th round. Him and Sutton were in the 10th round. Talked about how Mike took Sutton late in the 10th round, the third to last pick. Jeudy was in the middle. And these two guys going, not because they're bad, but because nobody knows what the heck's going on at quarterback, including John Elway in Denver, apparently, allegedly. So, that's why they fall, but the value is great. Deebo Samuel could be a spark here. I like Dallas Goedert late because I was going to take him there. And then, we look at some of the other pieces that he had, and I like Tony Pollard. So, yeah, I'm going to go with, you said that they gave him a B+. I'm going to give Eric an A. I'm going to give him an A too. I think he deserves it. And he drafted remotely, and my prayers go out to him. He had a death in the family, so he was out in California. So my prayers and my well wishes to Eric and his entire family, and to his uncle up in heaven, and to everybody involved. And thank you to Eric for being there for our draft when obviously you didn't have to be. So God bless to all of that. Rick went tight end. He took the first tight end off the board, Travis Kelce. Rick was the 7th pick of our draft overall. He took Kelce, Stephon Diggs, which was the 2nd receiver taken off the board. And I was really hoping to get... DeAndre to me is the number 1. Devontae is the number 2. And then Stephon Diggs is the number 3. So I'm happy I got Devontae because to me I got my number 1, even though a bunch of people drafted before me. So, but I still see incredible value with Stephon Diggs. I wanted him on my team too. Najee Harris, he takes in round number 3. Josh Jacobs, who I think people are down on. I'm not one of those people. I'm high on Josh. Miles Sanders, and then Jamar Chase, Kenny Galladay, Robbie Anderson, Will Fuller, and Devontae Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner, who is the rookie wide receiver for Philly. And so those were the 5 taken in a row that we had spoken about before. Then he took David Johnson in round number 11, Houston running back that was traded for DeAndre Hopkins a couple of years ago. Ryan Tannehill was his first quarterback he took, and he took him in round number 12. Fantastic value. Then he took Gronk and Jonnu Smith back-to-back, former Patriot, current Patriot. Then he took Phillip Lindsay from Houston, so he's got the handcuff of him and David Johnson, and Mark Ingram are all trying to figure out the backfield of Houston. Well, now he's there too. And then we see Ben Roethlisberger, he takes as his backup quarterback in round number 16, and then he follows the rules and takes kicker and defense at the end. He took Sanders out of Miami, and then he took 49ers defense in the last round, the 4th pick of the last round. What's your thought on Rick?
Yeah, like I said before, I couldn't. I don't know if I would take Travis Kelce there, but he stepped out and he did that. excellent talent. I think it's almost overkill or oversell at this point because that offensive line in Pittsburgh, I could be proven wrong, but I'm not sold on it yet. Josh Jacobs, again, a boomer bust type situation for him. Miles Sanders, can he stay healthy? I like Jamar Chase. I think he's going to come in and have an immediate impact. Kenny Galladay could be a question mark. Robbie Anderson, I think, is a hit. Will Fuller gets a touchdown every time he plays. Devonta Smith, I think that's a good pick there at 10. David Johnson, you're not risking too much with him at 11. Ryan Tannehill could be a tremendous value pick for him there at that point in the draft. I mean, wait until 12. I get it. Most people are thinking about their backup quarterback, and he took Tannehill. I think he's going to pay dividends. Rob Gronkowski, I don't think he's going to be a top tight end, but, I'm not sure he needs him to be because he already has Kelsey. He also has Jonnu Smith as well. And apparently at that point in the draft, he felt he really needed to not only shore up his team, but at the same time, don't forget, we play a flex. And remember one of the golden rules. If he's on my bench, he's not on your team. If he's not on your team, he's not scoring points against me. Yes, it sucks that I didn't get the points for him on the bench, but he's not scoring against me. So sometimes you play keep away. If you're in a league that likes to trade a lot, sometimes that's advantageous. Philip Lindsay could be hit or miss. Ben Roethlisberger could be hit or miss, and he waited the last two picks there, reversed them, but they're still the last two picks on the kicker and defense. I think he was the one that the original team name was stealing like a million. Is that right?
Rick's changed his name a bunch of times. So Rick is now clever team name coming, and so he might have been that one. And before that, he was his best one was Blame It on the Henny because he's a Miami fan. So he has clever team name coming is what he changed it to. So yeah, he might have been that one.
Well, the reason why I was asking is that's where FanDraft ranked him number 1. Gave him an A, and I'm going to give him an A-. I like what activity there, but for me that was a bit much. I would have waited, but then again, he might not have gotten him. So hats off to Rick for doing staying true in his conviction there, and coming out with a plan. And FanDuel ranked him as the best draft out of the whole draft.
Yeah, and he took 3 tight ends in this draft. He was the only team, or pardon me, one of 2 teams to take 3 tight ends, and so he made that decision to do that. And I think Rick, I like his picks. Kelsey, desirable. Diggs, desirable. Najee Harris can have some upside here. Josh Jacobs, desirable to me. Jamar Chase is desirable. Coming out as a rookie. Miles Sanders stays healthy, desirable. Kenny Galladay, the first big name with the Giants receiving core in a long time. Robbie Anderson's got that hookup now with Sam Darnold that he had with the Jets. Now they're with Carolina. Matt Rule has the connection to Temple. Robbie Anderson has a connection to Temple. Will Fuller, if he stays healthy, is dangerous. Devonta Smith has upside to that. I like I like those picks. Ryan Tannehill waiting until round number 12 to get your quarterback. That was a good move there. It just seems like he knew when to strike. So, and you look at it and go, wow, starting quarterback in round number 12, really? And then it's like, wow, it worked out for him though. So, because I think Ryan Tannehill's a top 10 guy. So, fantasy wise. So, ultimately, I'm going to give Rick an A. I don't know how I can't. So, I'm going to give him an A-. I'm going to give him an A. He was considered the top fan draft. Like Mike said, ranked him number 1, ranked me number 2, and ranked Mike number 3. So, that's nice. Because I know that in the past, I hope I end up number 1 at the end of the season. Hopefully I get to be in the championship game, I know there's other drafts where I look at it and I'm like, geez, he probably would have ranked me 10 out of 10. So, Rick getting that, I'm going to give him an A. Stefan, Team Elite. Devontae Adams, he takes the first receiver off the board. He takes Nick Chubb on the back, coming off of that snake. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the bottom of round number 3. Adam Thielen, Darrell Henderson, Mark Andrews, his first tight end is in round number 6, who Mike and I had as a top 3 tight end last year. He's dropped off a little bit for us this year in not as great of a season last season. Justin Herbert is his first quarterback taken in round number 7. And then he goes with Odell Beckham in round number 8. Kenyon Drake, he goes with Marquise Hollywood Brown. So a bunch of Ravens going here for him. He takes James Conner, the former Pitt running back, who's now with the Arizona Cardinals in his first season there, signed a 1-year deal. And round number 11, he takes him there at the end of round of 11, third to last pick. Then he goes with Antonio Brown from the Bucks. Gabriel Davis, great value at round number 13 at the end of round number 13, third to last pick out of UCF, going, with the Buffalo Bills arguably going to be the number 2 behind Stephon Diggs. And so I like this pick as well. And then he goes to Joe Burrow as his backup quarterback, who is my backup quarterback, got me 54 points in a game last year. And then we look at he took Malcolm Brown, Miami running back. He took a bunch of. I was looking back at his draft when I was inputting it, and he took Brown, and Brown. He took Marquise Hollywood Brown, Antonio Brown, and Malcolm Brown. And just kind of an interesting fact there. Bills defense.
What can Brown do for you?
Yeah, a lot of Brown. So Brown, and Brown sounds like a nice law firm. And then you got Bills defense, Justin Tucker, my favorite kicker. And then he took O.J. Howard from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As a Tampa fan, he took O.J. Howard as his backup tight end in the last pick, which I thought was good too. So your overall take on Mr. Steffen?
Yeah, I like where he was in the draft. I like the fact that he was able to take Devontae, come right back to Nick Chubb. I think those are 2 real good picks. Clyde Edwards-Helaire there at that position, and 3 at the end of the third. I think that's a great pick. Adam Thielen, I think, is going to have another pretty good year. Darrell Henderson's, we're going to see a little bit of a drop-off, and some of this is post-draft and bringing in Sony Michel, so I got him downgraded a little bit. Mark Andrews, I like him. I'm not sure he's going to have as good a year as he did last year. I think he felt pressure, but it was so much pressure that he didn't feel it. Like, in other words, he didn't know what he didn't know. He didn't know that there was so much pressure on him, and he just went out and played. And hopefully he can do that again. But I predict a little bit of a sophomore slump. Beckham, I don't know what I'm going to get out of that guy year to year, week to week. Same thing with Kenyon Drake. Consistency problem. Marquise Hollywood Brown, he's got big play written all over him. They brought in another big play receiver. Are they going to throw the ball more? Are they going to continue to let Lamar Jackson run all over the league? James Conner, a little bit of a question mark. Antonio Brown, question mark. Gabriel Davis, I think he's a boomer bust player. So, but you have to take chances on guys in drafts. Just because I say they're a question mark, I'm not saying they're a bad player. It's just these are guys that you're potentially taking a chance on in that point in the draft. And, God bless you. You got to do stuff like that. You don't win that big check that they hold up on TV, $300,000 from playing football. You don't win that without taking chances on guys, and that's what you have to do. Malcolm Brown, another chance player, took the Bills and Tucker, and then O.J. Howard again with the homer pick. I'm okay with that. I'm looking at this team and Team Elite. I kind of like this team. I think they're going to win some games. I think there's some question marks in the middle. I'm going to give him a B, and so did FanDraft. They ranked him 9th out of the 10 teams, but they gave him a B as well.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a B+. I'm going to give Steffen a B+ here. I like Devontae Adams' pick, obviously. I like Nick Chubb. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm not sold on him as much this year, but getting him in the 3rd round, not a bad play at the end of the 3rd round. Thielen, people are down on. I understand Justin Jefferson. I drafted him, but I think Thielen's still competitive and still strong. I like Mark Andrews still. I like Justin Herbert. But Justin Herbert's going to have a lot on him with the Chargers now. I mean, it's on him. It's boom or bust. And, Odell Beckham I would have stayed away from. Kenyon Drake I would have stayed away from. But James Conner taking a flyer on him, that's not bad as a potential flex. And Gabriel Davis, as late as he got him, and some of the picks that I wouldn't have made, but then he still ends up with Gabriel Davis and Joe Burrow, which I like. So I'm gonna give him a B+. I'm gonna give him a B+ on this one. Jason drafts Darren Waller first. He's the 9th pick of our draft. He takes Darren Waller after Travis Kelce goes and Devontae Adams is the first receiver to go. Instead of taking a running back, Jason goes Darren Waller. Then he gets Joe Mixon. Then he goes A.J. Brown from Tennessee, Mike Evans from Tampa, Tom Brady for that connection between Mike Evans and Tom Brady there in Tampa Bay. He gets Tom as his first quarterback in round number 5. Kyle Pitts in round number 6. Then Leonard Fournette, going a lot of Tampa guys here. Jalen Waddle out of Miami gets the rookie who is going to re-link up with his former Bama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Then he gets Devin Singletary. Chris Claypool from Pitt goes with him. Latavius Murray, former UCF guy here, and so he's here. And then we go with Smith. He goes with Traquan Smith, wide receiver for New Orleans, also a UCF guy. McCole Hardman is who went after that out of Kansas City. And then he gets Tua to link up. So he's got Tua with Jalen, and he's got Brady with Mike Evans. So he's got that quarterback wide receiver link up. Salvin Ahmed from Miami, Tariq Cohen from Chicago, Dolphins D, and Will Lutz, the kicker for New Orleans. A lot of Miami Dolphins stuff in here, as Jason is a big Miami fan. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like I like the team. Looking at the team, I'm not sure about the way the draft went. Like, I would have thought he wasn't a draft at that point. Because you look who went behind him: Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor. Then he was able to get Joe Mixon, but he also left Nick Chubb out there, so he could have had Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon, or Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones, and I think that would have helped a little better. But he wanted Waller, and sometimes you got to step up. If you don't step up, you're going to get stepped on sometimes. You take a look at Joe Mixon. I think it's a solid pick. A.J. Brown, solid. Evans, solid. I think Brady's going to have a much better year than people think. In most leagues, in most projections, in most drafts, I've got him ranked as a top 5 quarterback, so I can't argue with where he took him right there in the 5th round. Kyle Pitts, I like that pick a lot. I was kind of hoping to get Kyle Pitts at that point in the draft, but he didn't fall to me, and that's when I ended up with Hawkinson. But I like Pitts a lot. Leonard Fournette, I don't know. It's going to be up or down. Jalen Waddle, same thing, up or down. And Jalen Waddle could prove me wrong. Could be solid right off the bat. I think he was the best receiver in the draft, above Heisman Trophy winner and teammate Devonta Smith, because Jalen Waddle was injured most of the year. A lot of people forget that. Chase Claypool, he was tops of the adjusted explosiveness index in the past couple of years. This is a guy who I like, but there's question marks at offensive line. And, there's question marks about Ben Roethlisberger. He's going to be playing under center more. They're going to focus on the ground game. And then there's a lot of mouths to feed in Pittsburgh. They almost cannibalize each other. I usually have all those guys, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and Smith-Schuster, all ranked somewhat together there. So that's almost anti-productive after a point there. Latavius Murray, I'm beginning to worry about him at this point. I like Tony Jones as the backup. Latavius Murray getting a little long in the tooth as well. Traquan Smith might blossom this year with, the absence of, Michael Thomas. We'll see how that affects everything, and we'll see how the quarterback situation looks like. They're leaning Jameis Winston, how that goes for everybody. I like the wheels of McCole Hardman. I think that's a steal at 13. I think getting Tua at 14 is a steal too. Ahmed could have a boomer bust year. Tariq Cohen, same thing. He did the right thing with the defense and the kicker there. So, I like the team. Again, shaky start in my book. I'm going to go with a B here as well. FanDraft ranked him as number 8 in the draft. They gave him a B+.
Yeah, looking at Jason's, I'm gonna give Jason a B in this one as well. There's some homer to Miami, there's some homer to UCF. And so, and we talk about that, Mike and I, even when we did the mock draft simulations, it's almost like the computer knew, and the computer had like somebody in the simulation that was a homer to kind of make it like real. And so it was kind of funny how that happened. Like they were drafting a certain team a bunch. And so, yeah, I'm gonna give Jason a B on this, and we'll see where he goes from here. I like some of the guys. Mike Evans, obviously. Darren Waller, Joe Mixon's talented. A.J. Brown should be helped out by having Julio Jones there. Mike Evans, I like to pick. Tom Brady, I like to pick. I like Kyle Pitts. There's enough that I like, and then there's the guys that he took because of the UCF connection, the Miami connection, and the question is, where are they going to go? Will they come through for him? And that's a big question mark. When you go homer, you don't always know what you're going to get, but I do think Miami's getting more talented, so I'm going to give them a B. And finally, Lisa, Aaron, she's the last pick, so she was the last pick of the first round, the first pick of the second round. So 1 through 10, 10 to 1. She was the 10th overall pick. Took Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor back to back. Awesome picks. Terry McLaurin from there. Then George Kittle took her first tight end in round number 4, and that was behind only Travis Kelce and Darren Waller. Then she took Tyler Lockett, who I was surprised fell to round number 5. Dak Prescott's her quarterback in round number 6. T. Higgins from there. Noah Fant. Melvin Gordon, who I've stayed away from because of Javonte Williams, but Javonte had gone at the back end of round number 8, so she got Melvin Gordon at the end of round number 9. Juju Smith-Schuster in round number 10, who I have some question marks on, but 10th round is very good value for a number 1 wide receiver. And then she went with Jamal Williams, who I've stayed away from at the end of round number 11. He's now in Detroit, same division, different team. Same, it's like same person, new area code. So Jamal Williams, new number, who dis? And so Jamal is in Detroit, not in Green Bay anymore. Brandon Cooks, I like, I'm not a fan of Brandon Cooks, but he had some pretty good numbers last year. And then Mike Williams of the Chargers, Nyheim Hines, the guy that I had in NC State, who's kind of a little bit of everything for the Colts, and she got him at the first part of round number 14. And then went with J.D. McKissick, who's now with Washington, used to be with Seattle. Baker Mayfield's her backup quarterback. The Patriots are her defense, and Suckup is her kicker out of Tampa Bay. Good kicker to pick. Why? Because, he's kicking on a team that has Tom Brady, so they're going to score. So there's always the, what do you do in that situation? The team's going to score, so it's a good kicker to have. But if they're going to score a lot of touchdowns, it's less points for you. So, but Ryan Suckup, not a bad bet there as a kicker, and Mike and I streamline kickers as we talked about before. So Lisa has won many a championship, and she keeps us on our toes because when she took over the team years ago and called it Name Change in Progress, she never changed the name from Name Change in Progress. So it's still Name Change in Progress, but what isn't a question and isn't something that we're waiting to figure out is whether or not Lisa is going to be competitive in this league. She has been fantastic. If she's not winning the championship, she's playing in the championship. And Mike, I'm not going to say much more than the fact that not only do we know she's a competitor, but we also know you should tread lightly with this grade that you're about to give.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I don't want to sleep on the couch tonight. That's not so good.
Yeah.
I'm looking at her draft up and down. I can't argue with any of it. I like it. I like her quarterback, Dak Prescott. I bet her. I have 2 of his receivers, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, on my team. So, I think the George Kittle pick was right on time there. She ended up following that up with Tyler Lockett and Dak Prescott. T. Higgins could be a question.
Oh, Mike, we lost you for a second. What were you saying? We heard you say T. Higgins, and then you dropped out.
Yeah, T. Higgins should have some success in the slot there. I like Noah Fant. Melvin Gordon's a question mark. You got to wonder how much Javonte Williams is going to affect him. Juju Smith-Schuster, hit or miss. Jamal Williams is a PPR league, so he's going to do fine. And this is where you start taking chances, and you can afford to take chances on a Brandon Cooks and a Mike Williams in the 12th and 13th round. That's almost ridiculous. Nyheim Hines in the 14th round in PPR is great. J.D. McKissick, I'm a little bit worried, but in the 15th round, I'm not that worried. And getting your backup quarterback in the 16th round is a great thing. Patriots is suck up, got him in the right order there at the end of the draft. So, I'm going to give her a solid A. The fan draft gave her an A minus. That wasn't me. That was fan draft with the minus. But I'm going to go to A. They rank her as the 5th best draft in the class.
Yeah, and Jason said y'all should have drafted. You should have given me a D for being drunk during the draft. So. Yeah, Jay, I thought you were feeling it. I did think you were feeling it. I didn't know you were feeling it. But he didn't really hide that he was feeling it a little bit. So, it's kind of crazy, but it's all good. I do want to, with Lisa. I said a lot of stuff as I was going through it. I'm going to give her an A. Lisa she's a terror. I feel like if I give her anything less than an A, she's just when it comes to fantasy, this woman is electrifying.
She's won this league 3 times, and last year going into the playoffs, she had the best record at 11-2.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. It's her playing somebody. She's like Tom Brady, okay? In our fantasy league, she's either playing in the championship and winning it, or she's playing in it. It's like Alabama or Clemson in the college football playoff. That's Lisa. So she's fantastic. She's awesome. She's amazing. I love how she came into the league, and I love that she was effective from the beginning. I'm going to give Lisa an A. She is such a quiet thunder, though. She doesn't say anything. She just drafted in almost perfect silence at Hooters. She almost said nothing at all. And she's just drafting and smiling and drafting and smiling. And I'm looking at her going, man, she's like that sniper. You know, she's like sitting on the top of the building, and she's just smiling, and she's like, they don't even know that the dot is on their head. Like, Lisa is a silent killer. And I'm just, all I got to say to you, Mike, is you're obviously doing something right that you're still alive, but I don't know how you don't sleep with at least one eye open, because this woman's a sniper. So shout out to Lisa, much appreciation. Congrats on your hardware in our league, and appreciate you very, very much. So yeah, I'm going to give Lisa an A, and that's where I'm going to keep it. So with that being said, for Mr. Mike Sofka and myself, Dan Tortora, this is the Fantasy Football Power Hour, not one of. Then we're going to be here a little bit farther into the day. Brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, and you can find them there 7 days a week, indoor and outdoor dining, volleyball court, and takeout delivery and catering. Call 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222. Mr. Sofka, Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com, Winning Fantasy Football on the YouTube, and on Facebook, Winning Fantasy Football, the group. Mike, as always, I appreciate you. I know you and I will be talking this weekend during our drafts at the Wildcat, and I just am so thankful that we've been able to give all this information to the people of the world for fantasy football. So whether you're in Guam, Puerto Rico, France, any part of the world, wherever you may be, the state of New York, the state of Florida, California, Montana, wherever you are, we're here to help you. We've given advice to people from the Dakotas before, so make sure you write into us and let us know what you need help on by going to the Winning Fantasy Football group on Facebook, and of course finding us every single week on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt and wakeupcalldt.com Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Mike, thank you, and I can't wait for this weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Just a quick reminder, this is heavy draft season for a lot of people, so please, check out my site there. You can go Winning Fantasy Football or Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com. Both take you to the same place. I have the top 10s in each position, whether it's standard or PPR. And, let me ask you, how much would you need to win your league? It's only a matter of your tolerance. If you pay $6, I got the answer for you. I've got a cheat sheet for PPR or standard scoring. You just sign up right there on the website, and I send it to you. It's fresh information. It takes into account that Travis Etienne just got, it's not looking at a magazine from July, right? I got up-to-date projections, up-to-date information. I can help you win your league. And I like hearing about it later. I like when people write me later and go, hey, thanks a lot. Made the draft a lot easier. And by the way, I want my league. By the way, first time I ever finished getting the money in my league. I like hearing those things. So check out the website, Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com. And Dan, thanks again. I look forward to this weekend as well.
All right, man. I'll talk with you soon. Be safe.
All right, bye.
Take care. That coming from Mr. Mike Sofka of Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com. And so I just I had to put that out. I don't know why I said it like that with my Boston accent, but I just felt like I needed to. And sometimes, as you know, things just come through on the show. I want to give a special thanks to everybody that was on the show today. Big shout out to Navy, Kevin Brennan. Thank you for being a part of the show, as well as head coach Ken Niumatalolo, Kevin Brennan, their free safety. Thank you for what you do to protect our country and the world through the Navy. And, of course, my grandfather and my great-uncle Carmen as part of the Navy. God bless to them as well. My Uncle Carmen here on Earth, hopefully for a very, very long time, and my grandpa watching over us in heaven. A big shout out to East Carolina and to everybody that was on the show today from East Carolina. I want to give a special thanks to them as well, as I feel very, very appreciative of everything that we get to do here on the show. And with American Power Play Week starting off with Navy in East Carolina as well as Memphis, I'm so much looking forward to everything that we've had that, you know, everything we did today was awesome that I was looking forward to, and everything that is to come. And so very much looking forward to that. And I want to give a shout out to the East Carolina Pirates players. And so those players that I want to show some love to that were on the show today, Holton Ahlers, their quarterback, and Jaquan McMillian, their cornerback, and their entire team. Same for Navy. And, of course, for Memphis, I want to thank head coach Ryan Silverfield and wide receiver Kelvin Austin III and free safety Quindell Johnson. And, of course, I want to thank Mike Sofka for the Fantasy Football Power Hour, not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, 3501 James Street, 401 South Salina Street, 208 North Townsend Street, where Kubal Co-Works is, as well as inside of Galisanos Children's Hospital, right where we started the week this week at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, where all roads converge on Cafe Kubal going into Manlius. You can't miss it. It's like a welcome building to Manlius, and the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse. Make sure you make your way out there as well to their newest location, which is their first ever drive-through location at Cafe Kubal. So big shout out to Cafe Kubal. Big thanks to each and every single one of you. Watch and listen to Wake Up Call every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on mixlr.com/Wake Up Call DT, on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, as well as on youtube.com/Wake Up Call DT, facebook.com/Wake Up Call DT, and facebook.com/Live Now DT. And once the shows go live, you can find them in the archive as well by going to Podbean, as well as by searching on Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, and iTunes. YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, iHeartRadio. Check them all out by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, on any of those. And a big shout out to all of our partners in the community here that I want to thank for everything they do. Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Honda City of Liverpool, the Mailhouse Market, Progressive Dental, Mother's Cupboard, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, PB&J's Lunchbox, and Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Go to maandpazpopcorn.com today and use the promo code DT20. That's DT20. Go to maandpazpopcorn.com and use the promo code DT20 to get 20% off your order today from literally anywhere in the United States of America. So get to them today, and thank you so much for all that you do from Ma and Pa's and from all of these fantastic _DT. Have a great day. Be safe. Be well. And as I always like to tell you, God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon.